Well, actually, I
But
wouldn't mind in the middle of ask you a question on this because I've been talking about this with friends a lot recently. This whole idea of uh, resiliency, but also, this now we're all more aware that we've been neglected or trauma to various degrees, like you said, but also this idea of therapy. And I think a lot of us, it sounds like you included, see the benefit of it, but friends and I've been speaking about, okay, but when is there diminishing returns when it leads to victimhood and the lack of agency? And it sounds
mm,
like that's what you're saying with these tribes you've been part of, with the military or professional or not professional competitive sports.
mhm.
And I think a lot of people, if you lose that sense of agency, you think everything is put upon you and you have no ability to change your lot in life. Is that kind of what you
Mhm.
were alluding to?
Yeah, that is the classic adolescent psychology of the uninitiated man, right?
Okay.
And I'm kind of speaking to the men's world now, although I know there are women watching this too. We both require initiation, we both require belonging and resiliency, but we're kind of having a masculine conversation, which is important because it's half the world. So men have different initiation needs than women do, and but they both entail the movement from an adolescent psychology, which includes what you're speaking to of there's victim consciousness, there are villains who are perpetrating that, you know, negative experience on the victims, and then there are savior characters who are
Right.
going to somehow come in and solve your problems. And so that little dharma wheel that cycles, through, I'm not going to be a victim anymore, and you kind of step into villain mode, and or I'm going to try to save the world and elevate other people and become a breathwork coach, like, and then eventually you go, I'm not successful, and now I'm a victim again, and you just keep cycling through that shitty wheel
Right.
until at some point you get to that initiation, advocacy, that moment where you realize, oh, it's not my dad, it's not the government, it's not society, it's me.
Right.
That's the moment when the hero goes into the cave where his dragon lives and goes, oh, you're wearing my face. Underneath Darth Vader's helmet in the cave is Luke Skywalker. That's the moment of initiation,
That's great.
and the realization that all of the illegitimate suffering, it's a Buddhist term, which means it's the all the negative adversity that is in our life that we're generating. That's called illegitimate suffering versus legitimate suffering, which is, yeah, it's hard to get up in the morning. It's hard to go to the gym. We're all going to get old and our, knees hurt, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But illegitimate suffering is all the stupid shit that we are creating in our life because we're watching, doing, ingesting things that make us feel worse afterwards. Like
Sure.
short term gratification, which is adolescent. It's the classic definition of clinical adolescence is I cannot defer gratification because I want it now. I need external validation to feel like I'm enough. And that's the adolescent operating system, which then is replaced by the advocacy of not only am I responsible for all of the good and the bad in the world that I'm creating, but I have the ability and, in fact, the duty, the responsibility to change that. And
Right.
it's a heavy burden. Initiation is not like a sexy term of, oh, I did a men's retreat and I'm an initiated man. No, it means you put on the backpack of your people. You put on the backpack of your family and your community and your life and the entire load of the mature man. Woo! And there's a lot of men who um, have had that backpack placed on them too early and too abruptly, and it breaks them. And so they
Right.
revert back to, well, I deserve to play video games. If you're an initiated man, you do not. You do not deserve to play video games because that time should be spent in the service of something greater than yourself. And
Right.
so we're run by. an entire society of adolescent men in mature bodies, which is why you can see this blast radius of clinical anxiety and depression and addiction, and it's very unfulfilling ultimately. And so the ultimate outcome of an unfulfilling or meaningless life is suicide. And that's just spiking across the entire male community right now.